is used in the refineries. So zeolite is being used there. So the products are gaseous products, methane, ethane, propane, butane, propene, all the hydrocarbons of low molecular weight, 1 to 4 hydrocarbons, 1 carbon 1, 2 carbon 4, methane, ethane, propane, butane, or ethene, propene, butene, right? These are the products from petroleum cracking in the refineries. So this is catalytic cracking of gas oil. So what's the catalyst is, or what's the catalyst used there? Is that zeolite. They use zeolite. Many types of zeolites we have studied. So that can be used ZSM5 or any other type of zeolites. The liquid product is that petrol or gasoline other name, or kerosene, your diesel, all these. Residue is that fuel oil or that tar, or you can say wax, that is your solid form of carbon 18, carbon 19, carbon 20. Right? And your carbon 15, carbon 14, 15, these are gasoline boiling range hydrocarbon. Sorry, your diesel boiling range hydrocarbon. Carbon 14, 15. After that, 17, 18, 19, 20, 19, 20, or maybe 18, 19, 20. This carbon chain of carbon 18, carbon 19, carbon 20 hydrocarbons, these are solid wax, or the petroleum, the residue, you can say. So reforming of naphtha. Naphtha is that a range of hydrocarbon from carbon 5 to carbon 10 is that naphtha, that we reform it, make it cyclic compound. So platinum and rhenium and on alumina are used. That means platinum on alumina and rhenium on alumina are used. Okay, making epoxy ethane, silver on alumina is used. So look at it, that silver or platinum, those are on alumina. So this is again a bifunctional catalyst, which means double things. We don't have alumina alone, but on top of this we have platinum, we have rhenium, we have silver, right? So alumina for making epoxy ethane. A lot of industrial applications this have. Sulfuric acid is reaction of vanadium oxide on silica. Look at it. That not alone, silica on top of this vanadium oxide is used. Okay, making nitric acid, platinum and rhodium is used. Right, from will be nitric acid, later it will form. Okay, so the ability of zeolite to add some molecules and to reject others gives it the ability to act as a molecular sieve. Previously we discussed that is molecular sieve is it allows some type of molecules to get in, to be absorbed, and to get it cracked, or the catalyst can work. Rest of that molecules will not be allowed to enter the small pores where the catalytic reaction is going on. And to reject others, it accepts some based on the molecular size, the pore size, and reject others. The ability to, it's called a molecular sieve catalyst, molecular sieve, zeolite. So this is a very important characteristic things that zeolite. For example, in the manufacture of ethanol, ethene, or from biomass, an aqueous solution of ethanol is produced in which there is 4% still present even after repeated distillation. Do you know azotropic mixture? Anybody can answer faster, please. Azotropic mixture. Have you heard of that name? Huh? Anybody, please reply. Yes or no? Can you hear me? Can anybody? Huh? Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. All right. So now 96 ethanol is produced with 4% of water. This is called azotropic mixture. From here, it's difficult the water content. How do we remove? How we remove this one? By distillation. If you distill it, 4% of water remains there. It's difficult to get rid of that. This is for the called azotropic mixture, where this small amount of water is mixed that ethanol and cannot be removed. So how to remove? It cannot be removed by distillation. Because we are distilling and distilling that it's some is a point reaches where beyond which water cannot be removed any further. So this mixture, when it forms, we use zeolite to absorb that water. Zeolite absorb water. This is not a catalyst. However, the role of this zeolite is there to take this water out. So further purification of ethanol requires the use of zeolite, which absorbs the water preferentially. Okay. So cracking oil, catalytic cracking of gas oil is zeolite. Okay, done. So reforming, we have discussed. Disproportionation reaction, that of methyl benzene using zeolite, it's giving you disproportionate reaction. Okay. And dealkylation is using zeolite also. Is that your this alkyl group will go out from this. And we have cumene isopropyl benzene, making cumene or isopropyl benzene, or the other name is 1-methyl ethyl benzene. So ZSM5, zeolite molecular sieve 5, is used to produce cumene. Is an important chemical. All right. Considerations or points for choosing a catalyst. How to choose a catalyst is very, very important. Means to choose a catalyst is very, very important thing that a chemist should do before doing that chemical reaction. We need to choose the catalyst because a lot of catalysts are there. Some just lead you to a wrong product. Some will be inactive very fast or deactivated very fast. Some will be, giving you not of the desired, different as we discussed, and difficult to get rid of that product from the catalyst surface. So many problems are there. We need to choose L, right? Catalyst. The ability of the heterogeneous catalyst surface to interact with the reactant molecules called chemisorption. Absorption, whereby just chemical reaction bond formation is occurring. But another one is that physisorption, where physical touch is there is no bond formation. Van der Waals forces of attraction is working, but in chemisorption, true bond formation occurs. So the gas molecules, two types. One is that chemisorption, another physisorption. So physical absorption actually. So the gas molecules interact with atoms or ions on the surface of the solid. True that we have heterogeneous phases. Gas is coming on the top of the solid. The first process usually involves the formation of very weak intermolecular bond. A process physisorption followed by chemical bond, a process chemisorption. So the enthalpy of chemisorption has to be sufficiently exothermic for chemisorption to take place. Means it's sufficiently exothermic for any bond formation. Because when the bond is formed, it is removed. Reverse way, when we break any bond, then we have to raise the temperature or bring the catalyst to come to bring down the activation energy level. The the barrier activation barrier. Okay. So the enthalpy of chemisorption has to be sufficiently exothermic for chemisorption to take place, but not so high that it does not allow further proceed. Which means if it is chemisorbed very well, then after that, if it doesn't go, will be a difficult problem. Which means its chemisorb very good. It should leave also the place, the catalyst surface. If it doesn't leave the catalyst surface, how can it be that the other molecules can come in and get that reaction done? Because this is occupied. It's not leaving the surface. It's strongly bonded. That's why if it is very high, it's not appropriate as a catalyst. It's working true, right? Means the catalyst is working, but it's creating problem. It's not going out, leaving this place. So it should be moderate way. That is, it should have a good attraction to that sub catalyst and the reactants. Moderation, so that later these molecules, when it's formed, reaction products are formed, it can leave. Products can leave the catalyst surface. So this should be the criteria. For example, oxidation of carbon monoxide. So carbon monoxide will be transferred to carbon dioxide because we are doing oxidation. We are adding oxygen to where? Carbon monoxide to produce carbon dioxide. Okay? So molybdenum may be at a first sight can be catalyst choice, right? A choice of the catalyst that we can molybdenum because oxygen in this carbon monoxide, this oxygen, we need oxygen, right? For carbon monoxide to convert it to carbon dioxide, we need oxygen, and this oxygen can be well chemisorbed by molybdenum on the surface of molybdenum. So molybdenum can be used as that theoretically we can approach as a catalyst, right? The resulting oxygen atoms do not react further as they are too strongly adsorbed on the surface. This molybdenum oxygen is adsorbed. After that, it doesn't want to go away. Understand? So problem is that it has a high adsorption, so it cannot be used as a catalyst. Rather, platinum and palladium, on the other hand, can have lower enthalpies of absorption with oxygen, and oxygen atoms can then further react with the adsorbed carbon monoxide to produce carbon dioxide. If you look at it, that acceptance mechanism is like this oxygen atoms, where this white one oxygen, this carbon, this is carbon monoxide. Now, this oxygen will first land on the surface of this catalyst. So if it is palladium, fine, platinum, fine, but we should not choose molybdenum. If it is molybdenum, it will stick to this, never react with others. It has to be bonded with this, right, carbon on this set formation. Later it will leave. All these can run with molybdenum. But platinum, yeah, your palladium, good, still okay, right? You see that oxygen first is sitting on this and it splits into oxygen molecules. So after that, carbon monoxide sits in. Carbon monoxide sits on the top of the surface of the catalyst. Now, you see that it has to be, the orientation should be that carbon should face this oxygen, carbon should face this oxygen. Rather, if you change this, if it is changed, no, oxygen will not react. Previously we discussed this one, right, for some class, in some class, right? That is, per orientation is a requirement. It should be properly oriented. That means it should have this carbon oxygen like this to be attached. Anyway, so carbon monoxide later, adds with this oxygen forming carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, when it forms this CO2, CO2, this leaves away, making the catalytic reaction to occur. Okay. The same thing just now what we have just discussed. All right. So each of these oxygen atoms can combine with the chemisorped carbon monoxide molecule to form carbon dioxide molecule, and these carbon dioxide molecules are then dissolved from the surface of the catalyst, making room for other catalytic reaction to occur. Okay. Another important point to consider is choosing a catalyst is that the product must not be able to adsorb too strongly to its surface. That what we discussed, that is, products should not be strongly adsorbed on this surface. Once formed, okay, very good, leave. Now give space for room for others, right? So carbon dioxide does not adsorb strongly on platinum or palladium, but its problem, as we discussed, that molybdenum is a problem, and so it is rapidly dissolved into the gaseous phase. Fine. So this is that criteria of the catalyst must be like this, that with the reactant, it should react this way. It should allow, it should facilitate the your reaction. Should not be any barrier. Okay, catalysts for air pollution control. The conversion of carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide is very important in our everyday life. Why? Because carbon monoxide is very deadly, you can say, is very bad for our health. It's with this uh, inhalation, it's absorbed on our blood, that is hemoglobin, and then we cannot survive. Right. Carbon dioxide are pollutants. Very true. But carbon dioxide is more harmful than carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is still treated as harmless, not that harmful as carbon monoxide is. Still better that if we have plants a lot, then these plants, these trees, these of the biomass around us can absorb this carbon dioxide. Yeah. So it's also good, no problem. But carbon monoxide is problem for all, everybody, everything, right? So the removal of carbon monoxide, unburned carbons, hydrocarbons, which is not completely burned, unburned hydrocarbons, that means remaining hydrocarbons or your fuel, it's not burned properly, and carbon monoxide formed. All these, and along with nitrogen oxides, all these pollutants are coming out from the exhaust pipe of the car and lorry, right? So it's producing petrochemical smogs. Smog means smoke plus fog. Smoke plus fog together is called smog. Huh. This is creating the environmental pollution during your, haze, right? Many times we see that Kuala Lumpur's atmosphere is very unhealthy, right? In June, July, or November, December, like this time, we find that the air pollution is too high because of this photochemical smog or the your haze formation. So difficult to breathe. So which aggravate respiratory diseases such as asthma. Motor vehicles are fitted with catalytic converters. Now, still costly, and I think still not widely used. You have motorcycles, right? Students, almost all students have got motorcycles. So they have this catalytic converter in every motorcycle. I do not think so, because it's maybe costly and not widely used yet. But yes, there are some uh, motorcycles with these catalytic converters. So, do you have this catalytic converter in your motorcycle? Can anybody confirm? Faster. Fast answer, please. Response fast. Have. Huh? Maybe costly motor vehicles they have, because it comes when it's the very costly motor vehicles. They produce this one, I think, for that case, because it's costs. It has costs also. Anyway, the stepwise processes that occur in heterogeneous catalysis is over palladium and rhodium. So these are dispersed very finely on the surface of a ceramic support that resembles a honeycomb of holes. The converter is placed between in the engine and the outlet of the exhaust pipe. So the exhaust gases contain carbon monoxide and unburned hydrocarbons that react with excess oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water vapor. So this reaction is catalyzed principally by palladium. We use palladium to convert this carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, or unburned hydrocarbon with this oxygen forming carbon dioxide. carbon dioxide and water. So the exhaust gases also contain nitrogen oxide. Besides this carbon monoxide and the unburned hydrocarbon, the exhaust gases also contain little amount of nitrogen oxide, nitric oxide or NO, and this is removed by reaction catalyzed principally by rhodium. So we have two catalysts. One is palladium, removing carbon monoxide to converting this carbon monoxide. Suddenly I lost. Okay. Okay. Done. You can see that, right? Please respond, please. I cannot hear. Can you see the slide? Right, one go.
No, Doctor.
Huh? Lost. So how long you couldn't hear? Quite long time?
No, just few minutes.
Just minute, 1 minute maybe, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, okay. Right. So the requirements list is that to be successful, the catalyst must allow the reaction to proceed at a suitable rate under conditions that are economically desirable at as low temperature and pressure as possible. It must be long lasting. Another criteria. Some reactions lead to undesirable. So, so for example, in the cracking of gas oil, carbon is formed which is deposited on the catalyst surface, such as zeolite, and leads to a rapid deterioration of its effectiveness. So many catalysts are poisoned this way, and these are poisoned which occurs when an impurity attaches itself to the surface of the catalyst and prevents adsorption of the reactants. So minute traces of such a substance can ruin the process. As for dioxide, which is means poison to this catalyst, that is platinum, palladium. Thus, all traces of sulfur compounds must be removed from gasoline used in the cars fitted with this converter, catalytic converter, which will convert this sulfur out from that, and or remove sulfur. So desulfurization occurs, right? We need to ensure that no sulfur is there in the catalyst. Poisons the catalyst. So furthermore, solid catalysts are much more effective if they are finely divided, as this increases the surface area. So surface area is another criteria for the catalyst to be considered. That area, plus surface area definitely uh, produce less efficiency, or you can say very good for the reaction to occur. So at the particles of fine divided catalyst tend to fuse together, and the powder may form cake, a process known as sintering. So this is the problem associated with high temperature, because catalysts are divided catalyst, it may fuse together with this form of, and can form this cake. So this reduces the activity of the catalyst, and the steps must be taken to avoid this one. One way is to add another substance that is known as a promoter. A promoter helps the catalyst to speed up. Catalyst is also there to speed up, but additional thing is done by this promoter. So when iron is used as the catalyst in the Haber process for ammonia production from nitrogen and hydrogen, alum is added and acts as a barrier to the fusion of the metal particles. So aluminum oxide with iron, right? These two catalysts are used, iron together with aluminum oxide, and the job of aluminum oxide is to create a barrier to the fusion of the metal particles, so that no cake formation occurs. And a second promoter is added, potassium oxide, another promoter is added. This helps to to remove this cake formation. So this one is also added, potassium oxide, so that appears to cause the nitrogen atoms to be chemizolved more readily, thus accelerating the slowest step in the reaction scheme. And follow me, that it helps to speed up the reaction, because slowest step is that rate determining step, right? You know that. So which one is the slowest step? That one will be speeded up, so the overall rate will increase. Bifunctional catalyst, as the name suggests, that it's that two parts, that is two jobs, it does two functions. So bifunctional catalyst. For example, in reforming naphtha, naphtha is a mixture of a straight chain hydrocarbon of 6 to 10 carbon atoms. A bifunctional catalyst is used for that case. So the most well-known one is platinum impregnated on the surface of alumina. So on the surface of alumina, platinum is there. So both the platinum, aluminum oxide play their part in the process. Because platinum is involved, the reforming is sometimes called platforming. Because this platinum is involved, that's why the name is called platforming. Sometimes it's, you know that. Okay. Dehydrogenation of butane to butene. Butane is there. We are producing butene. Why? What's the purpose of producing butene? Because it will produce, it's an intermediate of these chemicals or the raw materials for other chemicals, other products. So this is a chemical or the raw material for producing other chemicals. The dehydrogenation of alkanes to alkenes catalyzed by this metal platinum, followed by the adsorption of alkene on alumina. Can follow? First, we need to get this butane. Butane is hydrocarbon, right? It has got used true, but more beneficial will be if we can convert it into double bond, something. This is single bond, saturated hydrocarbon. But if we can bring unsaturated, means produce unsaturated hydrocarbon or unsaturation, then it can be used for producing polymers. Butadiene, right? Synthetic butadiene rubber or other things it can used with this butene. So butenes are, so that's why we have this butane true, but more useful product if we can convert the butane to butene. So the butenes are released into the until they are adsorbed on the platinum of the catalyst. So here we find, okay, so butene used by platinum. After that, the job is done by other part, that is alumina. It will transform. So this is that mechanism involved. Simple mechanism. This is in presence of acid. So here they react with a hydrogen ion to form a carbocation. So rearrangement of the secondary carbocation and all this going on, very problem. Then after that, the tertiary carbocation loses a hydrogen ion to form a branched alkene, 2-methylpropene. Okay. So it can be used intermediate product for producing other things or that raw materials for others. So several important industrial processes are catalyzed by mixed metal oxides. We have these mixed metal oxides. Suppose a mixture of bismuth, molybdenum oxide and bismuth oxides. So this together we have this, that double catalyst. We have this bifunctional catalyst. For example, the propene can be oxidized to propanol using a mixture of bismuth and molybdenum oxides. So without the catalyst, if we do not use this catalyst, propene is oxidized to a large number of organic compounds, including methanol and ethanol, and eventually forming carbon dioxide, which are not our desired products. So for making our desired product, we use this catalyst, and also to get the reaction in a faster way. So the oxygen atoms on the surface of molybdenum oxide are not very active. So it works very good. So reacting selectively with propene and breaking the weakest bond in the alkene to form allyl radicals, which means if it is a very, if it's catalyst very well, then this is the problem. But it attached in such a way that it can produce the products and the catalyst surface. Can follow? So that's the line here. It is, if it is, these oxides are not very reactive. If it is very reactive, it doesn't want to leave the catalyst surface. We do not want that. we want that it should be moderate, active, not it's in between. It should be moderate active so that it will work as a catalyst. Later, it will leave the catalyst. The catalyst bed will allow. That means that depending upon the catalyst, we can control this reaction. We have alkane, no problem. We have alkene. We have our reactants. Problem is with that reactants is okay, fine. Reactants are okay, but problem is that right choice of this catalyst. So molybdenum is not the right choice of this catalyst. Rather, other catalyst like your no, just a moment. Okay, no, this one is okay for this reaction. It's not. So in this case, a mixture of bismuth oxide and molybdenum oxide together can be used. But for other cases, molybdenum, just now we discussed, that is not a catalyst of choice alone, right? Maybe these oxides form, yes, it can overcome that previous problem. So the allyl radical is oxidized by an oxygen atom that is adsorbed on the molybdenum side. Another oxygen atom adsorbed on the bismuth side. So one is that two parts. One is that adsorbed on one side, another one is adsorbed on another side. So there is a compensating transfer of electrons to complete the cycle. The allyl radical is then oxidized on the surface to yield propanol. Can follow me? It's that is oxygen is one catalyst. Sorry, this catalyst, without catalyst is this one. It will form methanol, ethanol, and carbon dioxide, which is not our desired product. But this, yes, fine. And doing this, we have two types of catalysts. Two means catalysts joined together. That is molybdenum oxide and bismuth oxide. These two sides will act separate way. One will add this oxygen will be absorbed at this side. Another oxygen atom will be absorbed on this bismuth side, and then it will work. So this is that dual function of this catalyst. Ziegler-Natta catalyst is a very important catalyst in the industry. A lot of uses are there for this catalysts. Just 1 minute because time is limited. Can I finish it? Anyway, I leave till this end. Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Later we'll continue from here. Polymerization. Okay. So these are the polymers formed from this monomer in presence of your catalysts. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, any question?